Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This week I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, Season 12, The Reunion Part 1. I tried to review quite early this week. Okay, so in this episode we get to see at least four of the couples. They have conversations with Kevin, and I think he did ask some very good questions, but I think some of the couples got away from without answering the questions that they didn't feel they needed to answer. Some are justifiable, some I think they should still have answered him. Anyway, we'll start off with Virginia and Eric. Virginia and Eric were the first couple that he spoke to. In my opinion, Virginia, when you look at the Decision Day video and you look at this week, you can actually see whether she's a bit more sober or something. Something has shifted in Virginia in the sense that she doesn't look as intoxicated as she normally did during the season, and she seems more composed. So he had a conversation with them, and I think at times as people we behave in certain ways and it only takes someone holding up a mirror to ourselves to see. And so it was nice to hear Eric say, watching it has shown him certain aspects of himself that he needs to work on. I always believe and I always advocate that Virginia and Eric will be successful, but in order to succeed they need counseling. Virginia needs counseling on her own for issues that she has brought up during the season, issues with being her fears about her anxiety, and also her fears about the fact that Eric might not be as committed to the relationship or might leave her one day because her parents were divorced. And so I think, if nothing else, they need counseling. And so they also brought on Eric's mother, who I think did a good job. And she seems to really love Virginia. So I think because she loves Virginia, she's going to work very hard to make sure that this relationship is successful. Because she did sort of talk to her son sort of indirectly about communication and the importance of communication. And they themselves, Virginia and Eric, highlighted that communication is something they need to work on. And I think if they can work on that and tackle that, they're not as toxic as Elizabeth and as Beth and Jamie. But I think if they can work on their communication and work to make sure that they're not intoxicated when they have the difficult conversations, they should be fine. Virginia said she doesn't drink as much as it seems and she doesn't go out as much as it seems. But I think from Eric's facial expressions that she still does. And I think it's something that she will need to work on, to just make sure that it doesn't derail her marriage because she constantly wants to go out with her friends and party. Um, it was nice to see them, relaxed and sort of be comfortable around each other. Because with Eric and Virginia, there's always never been an issue with attraction. There's never been an issue with them sort of falling in love. I think the interesting thing was that it seems Virginia was saying she would never change herself, but it seems gradually she's changing. And not that I think that Eric is forcing her, but I think because she's realized she's getting the security that she needed. Because initially during the show, she said she would never move into Eric's condo. Now she says she's moved in. And I think some of the viewers misunderstood when she said, "This is my room." I think she meant, "This is my room," in the sense that where um, where some of the partners might have had to make up space in their wardrobes and stuff, because Eric's got a two-bedroom apartment. I think he's sort of given her the second bedroom to have her cat stay in there for her to put any of her other stuff that might not have fitted in a bedroom. And she said, "This is where most of my clothes are." And as ladies, we know some of us have a lot of clothes and shoes and stuff. So I don't think she meant that is where she sleeps. I think she meant that is her storage space for all the things that she needs. And obviously there's no way they were going to sort of bring two households together and everything fit in the same place. So they did mention that they are still looking to move, but I don't think there's quite the urgency as before, because Virginia said she's managed to make it her own. It feels like home, so she doesn't know whether she'll want to move when the time comes, which was very good for them. And I think she is now, she explained herself because initially she said she didn't want children, but I think she explained herself. And I think that sort of comforted Eric's mom because she was very anxious that Virginia might not want children. But Virginia said she's open to having children. It's just that she was open to either having children or not having children, depending on the husband that she married. And because Eric wants children, she is open to the idea of having children. Not to say she's going to have them immediately, but she's still open to the idea of having children. So I think I've always said this: Eric and Virginia will work. They don't have as many problems as other couples, but I think it's just a matter of they need someone to sort out um, their communication skills, their lifestyles, and that can only be done through counseling, whereby they don't feel like they're being attacked or, one person is sort of trying to enforce their ideas on them. And hopefully, once they go through that, they'll be fine. From there, we moved on to Ryan and Clara. Ryan and Clara, I think this season are my second favorite couple behind Brianna and Vincent, because Ryan and Clara, I've always said this, they've worked really hard on their marriage. They've really worked to create a foundation, and I think what I've tend to notice is I think on reality shows or on these type of shows, these um, documentaries, they try and sort of have an identity for the couple. And I think the producers, the identity they gave Ryan and Clara was the guy who's never said I love you, and the couple that are not, engaging in physical intimacy. And so Kevin asked, if Ryan was in love with Clara, and Ryan said yes. And I think people were like, oh, he had to be forced. No, he didn't have to be forced. I think Ryan is very private about his life, and whatever happened, he wanted it to happen in private. He didn't want it, for audience to be commenting on and saying whatever they wanted to. So he even posted on his Instagram, about his love for Clara. I believe this was not the first time he said it. I think he said it in private, and um, the editing made it appear as though he had never said it. But I think prior to the reunion, he must have told Clara he loves her because she gave him the ultimatum, and of 6 months, and he seemed, though he said it, I think he's already told her he loves her. I think they are in a very good place because I read somewhere that they were looking for a house to buy. They don't want to be on couples camp because they want some private time, which I think is very good because a lot of couples, as I've said last week, suffer from people's opinions on their relationships, and these then create tension amongst the couples because they're trying to dissect what the audience is saying. Um, they also did, Kevin did try and ask them about the sex question, and they avoided it. But I think Ryan and Clara are very intimate in their gestures, in how their body language around each other, how they communicate with each other. They're very sensitive and very protective of one another. I think everything is as it should be at this point, but they've chosen not to tell the audience because this is something that they believe should be private. And I like how supportive he was when he was asked about Clara was venting to the girls about how he didn't want to engage. He was still holding on to physical intimacy. He was trying to, she didn't understand why they just couldn't have sex, and they avoided it by sort of talking about other things and sort of just brushed over the comment that in the end Kevin just gave up and just left them as they were. And I think this is good because they are showing that this relationship means a lot to them because they went into this with the intention of getting married. They met their person, and they don't want outside opinions to come in and interfere with that relationship that they're building. So I'm very happy for them. I don't see any problems with them because I always said that they only had two problems. It's nothing else that they've brought up, and I think they're very happy as they are. And um, yes, they might not be, as as cute or endearing as Vincent and Brianna, but I think Ryan and Claire are going to be one of the most successful marriages in Married at First Sight history because they have done the work. now the issues that they had, they've managed to tackle those. They're going to move forward as a family. They were asked about the religion, and they're saying, they are planning on having children, but not immediately. They are going to renew their vows, which shows that they're taking this thing seriously. They've realized this is what we want, and they're going to commit it. They're making the commitment to choose each other and say, yes, I love you, and yes, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I'm very happy for Clara because this is what she wanted. I think there are other things that were not shown during the editing of the show, and she kept saying, this is a very good guy, this is a very good guy, but the audience couldn't understand what she meant. But hopefully, with time, they will allow the audience, regular updates on their marriage and how they're going. But I wish them all the best. Um, from there, I'm going to review Brianna and Vincent. Brianna and Vincent, they were the luckiest couple this season. I think every season there's always that lucky couple who are matched with the right person, have the right intentions, and will have a lasting relationship. And people, I know Kevin compared them to Woody and Amani, and for me, I don't know why people criticize Vincent. Everybody is entitled to their own insecurities and frustrations, and sadly, he vented his on TV. And as I said before, way before even Vincent admitted it to Doctor Viviana, that Vincent met this lady, fell in love with this lady, realized that yes, she was the one for him, and he wanted to spend the rest of his life with her. And so in so doing, because he was so impressed by Brianna, he tried to always put his best foot forward. Unlike other couples who saw each other through, the good and the bad, he was always trying to impress her to make sure that she understood his efforts. She appreciated what he was doing, so that at the end of the day, she would stay married. I think they are very happy. They have moved in together. They seem very content. Vincent is teaching Brianna Spanish, and Brianna seems very willing to learn. And I think they are caring about one another. They're very supportive of each other. They're very protective of each other. They're now at a point whereby Brianna is the one who's pushing that, yes, we want children, we want children. Whereas before, I think during the season, she was very anxious about having children. I think, as I said, with Eric and Virginia, watching themselves when the show airs, I think, allows them to see, things that they appreciate about themselves, things that they feel they need to work on themselves, and things that they wish to continue as they are. And so for me, Brianna and Vincent were always going to stay together. They weren't an issue, and I'm happy that whatever issues they have, they've managed to resolve them. Then we had the ladies meetup. I think, yes, they are a sisterhood. I think the women on Marriage at First Sight have taken this being a sisterhood thing very seriously. Yes, it's nice that they become sisters. Yes, it's nice that they support one another. They did go away on holiday, but I think um, I don't know. I don't think they were as supportive of one another as they should have been. They should have been honest with one another. I know they had a conversation. My biggest issue was with Haley. And for me, I know Brianna is supporting her friend. I've said this before, but she needs to look at things holistically, in the sense that she needs to look at things from her friend's point of view and from Jacob's point of view. I was very put off and very disgusted and disappointed with Haley, how she spoke about Jacob. You say you weren't attracted to this man. You say this man was this man. Why then would she try and sort of connect with him on social media? And I appreciate and I applaud Jacob for blocking her, because she was very crass and very shallow in her thinking and the thought process, in the sense that, how can um, you say you don't like someone, leave them alone. And the fact that if a relationship doesn't work, you don't need to go about saying negative things about the other person. The fact that she spoke about their physical intimacy and how bad it was, that's bad. That's really bad. That's Chris level of bad, in my opinion. She just became the worst wife in Married at First Sight history, because how dare she? She didn't like him. She didn't like him. If she didn't like him, and if the sex was as bad as she says, then why did she keep trying to make an effort to see if there were other aspects of the relationship would work? I think she said that just to spite him because he wouldn't put up with her nonsense. And I think Haley doesn't realize that she's not all that as she thinks she is. I think she puts herself on a pedestal and doesn't realize that she has way more faults than she cares to admit. And if nothing else, I hope watching this season has opened her eyes to how she comes across and how it's going to affect any future relationships. Because after those comments, I don't know any guy who would want to be in a relationship with her. Lastly, then the drama started. They brought on Chris, Paige, and Dr. Dwight. So they brought on Chris and Paige. Chris and Paige admitted that after decision day, they did go to counseling because they wanted to make their marriage work, to see if they could make their marriage work. So hearing that, it just made me think Paige told the experts what she knew they wanted to hear. She was always going to stay with Chris because the minute Chris told her that his ex fiance had had a miscarriage, she then thought, "Oh my God, now is my chance. Let's see if we can make this marriage work." And for me, I don't know why. I really don't know why. I don't know what Paige doesn't see that everybody else sees. So they went to this counseling, tried to make this thing work, and then Chris says, "Oh, we realized it's not working, so we've chosen not to move in together because I think they were talking about moving in together." Um, they are then asked questions. Chris is asked questions about if he still loved his ex fiance, and Chris refused to answer because he said it's not fair to answer in front of Paige. And to me, it's a slap in the face because it's simple. If you're not in love with her, you're not in love with her. There's no point in you saying you don't want to say it in front of Paige. And then Kevin had to say to him, "You had great media training," because I think Chris, seeing how he came across, must have spoken to someone and must have come on this, personality or character rebuilding tour thinking that, he could pull the wool over everybody else's eyes, just as he's done with Paige all season long. And so they Paige was then shown, and I don't get I know in our lives everybody's got a Paige, a woman who stays in a relationship longer than she should, but I don't get how Paige continues to support this man, given all the things he's done and said to him. Anyway, they were shown, the bit about before they were shown the bit about Chris calling her ugly. They he Kevin asked him, "So why did you continue to be physically intimate if you were not attracted to this woman?" And Chris Paige then came to Chris's defense and sort of said, you should, I don't, it's not all Chris, it's also me because I have chosen to go along with this. And yes, you've chosen to go along with it, but at least we have to bring it up that why are you going along with it? This man is not good for you. You can see he's not good for you. You can see he doesn't have the best of intentions for you. Why would you continue to stay in a relationship with someone like that? And he then Kevin then showed her the bit about Chris calling her ugly, and you could see how disappointed she was and how heartbroken. And Chris and I think in their matchings, Chris um and Haley should have been matched together. And Jacob and Paige should have been matched together because Jacob really wanted to get married. And I think he would have been more protective of Paige, knowing she fully wanted to get married and she might have had a better experience. And Haley and Chris could have just continued to do and say whatever they wanted to say about one another without anybody else caring. Anyway, they then brought in, they then brought up the topic about Pastor Dwight. Chris said he went on a rant. He didn't want to talk to Pastor Dwight. Why did Pastor Dwight talk to his wife without asking him for permission, given the fact that he's the one who introduced him? And it's like, at the time Pastor Dwight met up with Paige, you and Paige had said you wanted to divorce, so she wasn't your wife. So he didn't need your consent to speak to her. Anyway, Pastor Dwight comes on. Um, Chris then starts going off. "I'm upset with you." I think Chris showed his ass without meaning to show it because Chris said to Pastor Dwight, "Well, I was very disappointed that you were bringing down Mercedes in an attempt to build up Paige." And it's like, so you're still protective about Mercedes even after going to counseling with Paige and telling her you're trying to make your relationship work, which to me, in my opinion, means that Chris is only going along with Paige because he's still in love with his fiance and is either trying to make her jealous that he's with Paige, or he's still in love with his fiance. He hopes she'll come back to him, and in the meantime, he doesn't want to be alone. So, because he doesn't want to be alone, Paige is there and he's going to go along with Paige until his ex fiance takes him back. That is my opinion. He then blew off and stormed off. So next week, I guess we'll be continuing from there. it was really something else to watch, but I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye.